Hi guys, Mr. Collins here. Tonight we're going to be looking at another chapter of Beneficiaries entitled Dinner with Mark. As you can see, it's a bit chilly, so I've got my beanie and my beard on, but it's rather itchy. Right, let's get to it. Dinner with Mark. In this chapter, Lully's forced into a rather awkward situation as Mark, Pim's younger brother, is in town and he quite wants to see her, which means she has to go to dinner at Pim's. Now this is of course awkward for her because she is having an affair with Pim and she doesn't really want to have to interact or socialize with his wife, Ruth. She's kind of worried that Ruth will suspect something, or that Ruth already does suspect something. Pim says it would be more suspicious if Lully didn't come to dinner. And he says a rather ironic statement on page 189 when he says, I wouldn't be so stupid as to jeopardize my marriage. He of course means that if he thought Ruth was suspicious or had any inkling of an idea that something was going on between him and Lully, he wouldn't invite her to dinner. But it is already, he's already putting his marriage in jeopardy just by having the affair in the first place. So quite a bit of irony there. Lully goes to dinner and sees Mark, who in a way kind of represents the typical white Afrikaner attitude that sort of considers the ANC as very bad and thinks that South Africa is going downhill and all the white people need to get out of the country as soon as possible. He's not only very racist but also very crude and rude, as he constantly swears in front of the kids, and at one point he actually swears at Pim's oldest son and tells him to shut up when he keeps interrupting him. This is on page 194, and what's interesting is Lully's reaction to this, as she reprimands Mark for swearing at Pim's oldest son, whereas Pim and Ruth, who you think would be the ones to say something, don't say anything. And this kind of reminds us of the incident earlier in the book, in the chapter Doubt, when Preston, McGrath and Bowyer all got Zulu into trouble by throwing the firecracker at the board. And in that chapter, Lully couldn't stand up to them and she couldn't do anything about it. But in this chapter we see that she's making some progress and she's moving forward as she stands up to Mark and actually reprimands him for being so harsh to this little boy. And we can kind of make a comparison between Mark and those three young boys, as they're very much in the same sort of mold, and they sort of typify the kind of young man that school would have produced. And so by standing up to Mark, she's perhaps in a way making right what she couldn't do 20 years before. And we see how she slowly is moving forward and making progress. Mark's question to the boy after he swears at him is very ironic actually as well, as he says, "Don't they learn you in school to keep your mouth shut?" Which is obviously ironic because his poor grammar indicates that he clearly didn't learn too much in school. Mark also mentions a couple of incidents where white people have lost land and money under the new government in South Africa, and he cites these as the reasons he's considering leaving South Africa. He also says to Pim that he was blaming him before, but now he sees that Pim was right. Pim, however, says he didn't leave for any reasons like that. He left to go study, and then he stayed in England because of his wife. Marx mentions a few rather racist comments. They give us a clear insight into what kind of man he is, as he says on page 194, "Must be damned difficult to cope without proper servants." And then on page 197 he says, "Of course, if you're black you can rape and murder till you're blue in the face, but a white Christian man like me can't have a private argument with his wife without the law breathing down my neck." This indicates not only his racist attitude, but just the kind of terrible and violent and cruel man he is, as he beat his wife, and this was actually the final straw and what caused his divorce. after Mark's outburst, we see how Lily finds herself feeling jealous of Ruth, actually, because of the upbringing she suspects Ruth had. She describes it on page 196, where she mentions things like church bazaars, pony clubs, and garden fetes, and she kind of pictures this perfect little joyful upbringing that Ruth had, whereas she in South Africa had nothing like that. She consoles herself by thinking that she was sleeping with him when Ruth was just a little child, but she actually eventually realizes that her childhood experiences are the reason that she now doesn't have a husband or children or a family, and she can't help feeling jealous of Ruth. Later on in the chapter, Lali finds Ruth upset in the kitchen because Ruth is really worried that Pim might want to one day move back to South Africa, but Lali consoles her by saying that she needn't worry, Pim will never move back to South Africa. The next chapter is a very short one entitled Running Away, which Ma'am Moore will be doing with you.